Tēnā koutou te whānau o Auckland Unitarians. Tēnā koutou nā manahiri. No mai, haere mai ki tēnei hui. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
G'day.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I hear that virtual kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to welcome you into this virtual community of Auckland Unitarians. Ironically, I'm not sure I've ever felt more connected to all of you than I have in the last few weeks. Thanks to these meetings, thanks to Paul's daily opportunities for people to gather, and Kay's great efforts with WhatsApp. It's really been quite wonderful. So as we zoom into worship, our hearts are alive with hope that here we will be fully seen, that here we will be welcomed into the garden of this community, where the simple and the elegant, the fluted and the frilled, the shy and the dramatic complement one another and are treasured. May we know that here each contributes in their way to the beauty of the whole. Come, let us worship together, all genders, sexualities, politics, progressive or conservative. May we find connection in the values of this faith: compassion and courage, transcendence, justice, and transformation. I hope you brought your chalice or a candle. So let us have our virtual chalice lighting. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other. In the spirit of connection, the music I've chosen for this week has been done by virtual choirs. Now, I need to tell you that you've probably seen some of them on Facebook and other places. These are true works of love, because for a 3-minute hymn with maybe 50 people involved would take somebody working over 80 hours to put it together. So, but what I loved about it is that it's a metaphor for how much we want to be connected to each other and how much we rely on being connected together and what we can do being connected together. My opening words today, well, two things have inspired my musings this week. One was Derek Handley's conversation with Pico Iyer, who spent some time talking about reality. And the other was the YouTube video Paul's about to play for you. Many of you may have seen it already on Facebook or some other platform, but it's worth hearing again because it's fun and makes a good point. I've seen it a few times. It still makes me laugh. So my musings took the turn of what I called two realities, and thinking about the nature of reality itself. To my surprise, I realized reality is as slippery as an eel. As the video of this woman speaking to her future self makes clear, reality has no permanence. There is no guarantee that today's reality will be tomorrow's. Just ask Scottish author Peter May, the screenwriter turned novelist, wrote a book titled Lockdown in 2005 about a global pandemic. The book was rejected by publishers for being too unrealistic. 15 years later, that's our reality due to coronavirus, which has so far infected at least 2 million people globally. That's 1 million more since we celebrated Easter last Sunday. May's book is now being published. Today's reality has made it disturbingly realistic. It is the first time in human history we are sharing globally a specific reality at the same time. This is the first reality. The second is we are all experiencing it differently. Some are sick with it. Some have lost a loved one. Some are living alone in lockdown, feeling isolated, while parents are negotiating technology to aid their children's home learning and looking for a brief moment of quiet. Some are risking their lives and their loved ones to feed us, teach us, transport us, and heal us, while others of us remain safely cocooned in our bubbles. Some are learning to work at home, while others wonder how they will pay the rent after their job disappeared overnight. Some of us live in Italy, Spain, or the US, and some of us live in New Zealand. You get the point. There are a multitude of realities ensconced in the one reality of a global pandemic. From these two realities, my musings turn to what our future reality might be. I did a Google search, and the keywords I used produced a lengthy list. But the second item, to my amusement, was a sermon I gave to Auckland Unitarians in 2006, entitled A Theology of Accidents. I'm sure you remember it, as it was my first sermon in our pulpit. Though I'm not sure how well it was received, as the sermon can only be found on St. Matthew and the city's website. In the sermon, I shared a conversation with an Auckland Unitarian professor of computational biology and informatics. That means he studies how animals and plants evolve to the present state, which requires analyzing an immense amount of data that can only be handled by large computers. I asked him if he only studied the past or if he attempted to predict how species might evolve. He shared that predicting evolution is the holy grail for scientists like him. He said it was one thing to study what accidents in nature resulted in changes to a species. Predicting what accidents might occur in the future and how they would impact a species' evolution had far too many variables to be calculated, at least at this time. From this, I concluded that predicting our future reality is as futile as arguing with our present one. We will lose 100% of the time. Let me offer an example from the sermon that I keep in my Who Would Have Guessed file. Charles Darwin, by accident of birth, was born into a Unitarian and Anglican mixed marriage. But in spite of a family full of free thinkers, he did not doubt the literal truth of the Bible. He studied Anglican theology to become a clergyman, only after neglecting his studies to become a physician. As luck would have it, most naturalists at the time were Anglican clergy, who apparently had the time to wander the woods studying God's creation. In his studies, he became convinced by William Paley's argument that design and nature prove the existence of God. However, his beliefs began to shift during this time aboard the HMS Beagle. He questioned what he saw, wondering, for example, at beautiful, deep ocean creatures created where no one could see them, and shuddering at the sight of a wasp paralyzing a caterpillar as live food for its eggs. He saw the latter as contradicting Paley's vision of a beneficent design. While on the Beagle, Darwin was quite orthodox and would quote the Bible as an authority on morality, but had come to see through the study of geology the history of creation in the Hebrew scriptures as being false and untrustworthy. Upon his return, he investigated transmutation of species. He knew that his clerical naturalist friends thought this a bestial heresy, undermining miraculous justifications for the social order, and knew that such revolutionary ideas were especially unwelcome at a time when the Church of England's established position was under attack by radical dissenters and atheists, that is, us, while secretly developing his theory of natural selection. Darwin even wrote of religion as a tribal survival strategy, though he still believed that God was the ultimate lawgiver. His belief continued to dwindle over time, and with the death of his daughter, Annie, in 1851, Darwin finally lost all faith in Christianity. He continued to give support to the local church and help with parish work, but on Sundays, he would go for a walk while his family attended church. I suppose it is the accidents of faith that led Charles into agnosticism that have made conservative Christians so adamant in their opposition to his theories. But I wonder where Darwin's faith might have ended up if his accidents of faith had included encounters with modern thinkers like Karen Armstrong, Lloyd Gearing, Don Cupid, and Jack Spong. Their ideas include seeing the God who is a supernatural being in a three-tiered universe as a human construct that is no longer valid or useful. The divinity of Jesus being at best a 4th century explanation of his unique human qualities that continue to impact the world. That God was a metaphor for humanity living life without fear and with integrity, loving wastefully, and being one with the rest of the creation. Charles might have marveled at how his theories had not killed religion, but helped set it free of an oppressive understanding of God. Thanks to Darwin, many of us now believe ultimate reality is a moving target, ever-changing. Creation was not a single act of the past, but is an ongoing event in which we are both being created and creating. Our purpose appears to be a willingness to engage that reality. Much like going on a journey, traveling light, carrying with us only our capacity to love, to imagine, and to create. That is our act of faith. For us, God is merely a metaphor for this journey. One could argue that it will only be with the extinction of our species that this God will die. So let us journey on. Amen. For our breakout session, which will last 15 minutes, I invite you to share your reality of our common reality. How are you experiencing this reality? If you have time, you might share accidents of faith that have brought you to your present reality of your faith journey. So let us extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For our closing words, I've chosen some by Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Wash your hands, wash feet, and be kind. And for our postlude, I didn't choose music from our hymnal, but music from a children's virtual choir in Boston entitled "We Are One." I think you'll enjoy it.